As I stepped off the dusty bus and onto the crumbling asphalt of Main Street, USA, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The once thriving town was now a shadow of its former self, with boarded-up storefronts and a haunting silence that seemed to swallow everything in its path. I had never been to this place before, but I had been summoned here by a lawyer's letter. It seemed that a distant relative, a great-uncle I had never met, had passed away and left me his entire estate. As I made my way to the lawyer's office, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of life my great-uncle had lived. Was he a kind and generous man, or a cold and calculating one? The lawyer, a portly man with a bushy mustache, greeted me warmly and led me to a small conference room in the back of his office. As we sat down, he began to explain the terms of my great-uncle's will. "It seems that your great-uncle was a bit of an eccentric," the lawyer said with a chuckle. "He left you his entire estate, but with one condition: you must spend one night in the old mansion on the hill." I felt a shiver run down my spine as the lawyer handed me a small key. "The mansion has been abandoned for years," he said, "but your great-uncle seemed to think that it held some kind of significance." As I left the lawyer's office and made my way to the old mansion, I couldn't help but wonder what secrets it held. Was it a treasure trove of family heirlooms, or a haunted monument to a forgotten past? As I approached the mansion, I felt a sense of trepidation. The once grand house loomed above me, its towering spires and turrets reaching towards the sky like skeletal fingers. I inserted the key into the lock and turned it, hearing the satisfying click of the mechanism releasing. As I pushed open the creaking door, a musty smell wafted out, carrying with it whispers of the pause. I stepped inside, my footsteps echoing off the walls. The air was thick with dust, and cobwebs clung to the chandeliers like macabre tapestries. As I made my way deeper into the mansion, I began to notice strange symbols etched into the walls. They seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if they were watching me. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. What secrets was the mansion hiding? And what lay at the heart of the mysterious symbols? As I reached the top of the stairs, I saw a door at the end of the hall. It was slightly ajar, as if inviting me to enter. I pushed open the door, and a faint light spilled out. As I stepped inside, I saw a room filled with strange and wondrous objects. There were vintage clocks, rare books, and even a taxidermied owl perched on a shelf. But what caught my attention was a small leather-bound book lying open on a nearby table. The pages were yellowed and crackling. As I read the words, I felt a chill run down my spine. The book was a diary, written by my great-uncle himself. And as I read the final entry, I realized that I was not alone in the mansion. The entry read, "I have made a terrible mistake. The symbols on the wall are not just decorations. They are a warning, and I fear that it may be too late." As I finished reading the entry, I heard a faint whispering in my ear. It was a soft, raspy voice, and it seemed to be coming from all around me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The voice seemed to be coming from the shadows themselves. "Welcome to my home," the voice said. "I've been waiting for you." I spun around, but there was no one there. The voice seemed to be coming from the shadows themselves. As I stood there, frozen with fear, the voice began to laugh. It was a cold, mirthless sound, and it seemed to be coming from all directions at once. I knew then that I had to get out of there. I turned and ran, dashing down the stairs and out into the night. As I emerged from the mansion, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I had escaped the clutches of the malevolent force that lurked within those walls. But as I looked back at the mansion, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The symbols on the wall were glowing, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. And then, I saw a figure standing in the window. It was my great uncle, or at least his ghost. He beckoned to me, his eyes gleaming with a malevolent light. I tried to run, but my feet seemed rooted to the spot. As I watched in horror, my great uncle's ghost began to fade away, replaced by a dark and foreboding presence. The symbols on the wall pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and I felt myself being drawn towards them. Suddenly, I was back in the mansion, standing in front of the symbols. But this time, I was not alone. A figure stood beside me, a figure with eyes that glowed like embers. "Welcome to your inheritance," the figure said, its voice like a rusty gate. "You will never leave this place." As the figure reached out to touch me, I felt a scream rising up in my throat. But it was too late. The darkness closed in around me, and everything went black.